Welcome to the Friendzy.
Hi, I'm Melissa Carter.
And I'm Jenn Hobby. The Friendzy's mission is to celebrate friendships over 40.
We believe that women can thrive through authentic relationships, self discovery, and spiritual exploration.
Our decades long friendship, I love you,
I love you.
continues to grow because she and I are willing to go there. No surface conversations. We share our truths through life's highs and lows.
And that's why the Friendzy is here to hold space for women who are 40 and older, because at this age, your story matters more than ever. I'm Melissa, and my mother used to make all my clothes, a lot of my clothes, especially growing up. She even made my prom dresses. Millie Pete.
So sweet is that? I love it.
I did not inherit that talent.
I'm Jenn, and I like to wear perfume even when I'm working from home by myself.
Yes. Yes, I agree with that. You got to do I don't think you do anything different at home than you would in the office.
Yeah, it just makes me feel like I'm a little more put together if I have on a little
Spritz.
of perfume.
Now we didn't really wear perfume in a radio studio back in the day, or did you? Did you
I
still
don't
do
think
it?
so. I
I
started
didn't.
wearing this one because I actually bought it on the way to my first date with my husband.
Oh, very nice. What do you
Yeah.
wear? What do you wear?
Versace Bright Crystal.
Very nice.
And I just thought it sounded fancy and I like the smell of it. I spritzed it on. We went on our first date and I felt like there was something magical about it. So I've thought of
Well,
it as my good luck charm ever since.
here you are with 2 children.
Yeah.
So with a guy. So there you go. Well, I mean, and the reason I said we didn't wear perfume in the studio is a radio studio is airtight, airlocked, so that you don't
Mhm.
have a lot of sound. So food, perfume, lotion, like it may smell nice, but you got a lot of ventilation in a regular room. It's overpowering in a radio studio, right? So you tend not to
Remember
wear
our coworker who
perfume.
would microwave fish
Yes, I
and then
thought that
eat
as
it?
soon as I said it, yes, I thought
Yeah, I
fish.
remember that.
Yeah, microwave fish in a studio is not.
Lovely at 9
No,
a.m.
it's not.
Delicious smell.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Well,
really gets you going.
that's not the spritz you want. All right, so coming up on today's episode, we are talking about RESPECT. Find out what it means to me. I can't sing, but yes, we're talking about what, Jen? What are we talking about that you got to do?
You're going to meet Jennifer Hudson,
Yay!
Oscar-winning actress and Grammy award-winning singer. She stars as the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, in the new movie called Respect.
Yes.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Find out what it means to me. And I get everybody's singing along with. You can't say that without following up and
You
singing
really
along,
can't.
right?
Yes, and I
So
always just start thinking about the start of Aretha's Gold. So all of her gold hits got put on one album. I bought it in college and it just has become my favorite album of all time always.
really?
Yeah, and it starts with "You're no good, heartbreaker. You're a
Oh,
liar and you're cheap."
you hit that note very well, Jen Hobby. All right, so more of that to come as we talk about Jennifer Hudson and Aretha Franklin. But have you subscribed to the podcast yet?
Yeah, we don't have an album, we have a podcast, and there's a reason for that.
The Friendzy Gold. Now, the Friendzy podcast, we want you to not only subscribe, but leave a review. And I'm going to explain how to leave a review because I think for a lot of people, they don't know where to do it.
Yep.
So, Apple Podcasts is where a majority of you listen to the Friendzy. So, if you go to Apple Podcasts, you go to our page, you'll see the logo of the Friendzy up at the top, and you scroll through all the episodes. And at the bottom of that list of episodes, you'll see ratings and reviews, and you'll see where people have rated us so far. Right underneath that, it says in purple, write a review. And that's where you click that button. And once you click that button, you have how many stars you want to give us, and you can write your review there. So be sure and scroll down to see the review section. And that's where you write the review on Apple Podcasts.
And if you enjoy this episode of The Friendzy, minus our singing, you can please share it with a friend. That would be awesome.
I'm not going to apologize for my singing, Jen Hobby. I'm too old. You know what? At least I'm singing. That's what the beauty is about being this age, is I don't have to apologize. You show me some respect. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We would love for more people like you to find out about our show. And Melissa Carter, we are going to dive right in on our thoughts on respect and some deeper insights with J Hud here in just a minute.
Exciting.
But first, let's thank our sponsors.
Speaking of singing.
Here you go.
Kickin'
Kickin'.
pajamas.
Kick it pajamas. Stylishly dressed for battle. Use
PJs.
Friendzy for a 10% discount.
That's
at
right.
checkout.
And also, LIFELINE. Find out what it means to your veins. Lifeline screening. You can also get a discount there too. Well, if you go to Lifeline screening, you can get a discount by doing Friends without the Y, but you have to do the Z. So Friend Z without the Y, and you get a discount.
Zzz. Okay. Lifelinescreening.com. So, Melissa Carter, what is new with you?
Well, my son is in the first grade. I can't believe it. And he's back
Yay,
in the
Mr.
building.
Carter.
Mr. Carter's in the first grade. He's back in the building. My son was a
Awesome.
remote learner from preschool. So he spent his entire kindergarten year at home, and he spent the last few months of preschool at home. So he had gone to his school for summer camp. So I wasn't as emotional or nervous or whatever it was as I thought I'd be, because his school does a really good job about, trying to protect everybody. They're, mask mandatory at his school, and they're not going to the cafeteria. They eat lunch in their rooms and that kind of thing. So, but he's in the first grade, but he's having a little bit more of anxiety about it than I am. And it's not because of school. It's not because he's so excited to be back with his friends. He knows his teacher. There's not a problem with that. Well, the problem is that my son fell in love. I'm not kidding. Fell in love with a girl. Back in, it started a little bit in preschool, but kindergarten hit hard. Like he loves this girl. Talks about her all the time. And she had been
like a romantic, like boyfriend, girlfriend love, or like a best friend love.
They call each other boyfriend, girlfriend.
Oh my goodness. This is advanced.
And they saw each other. Katie Joe took him to visit his girlfriend before school started. And
so they had a play date.
They had a play date, and the parents overheard them talk about their wedding. They were already starting to plan their wedding.
Oh my goodness.
Now, again, this is not something.
This is one of the fast kids that everybody warns you about.
Dude, I'm buying him condoms today, but
we are kidding. He's in first grade.
I'm joking. But this is something that fascinates me, because he is not around people like, we try to be progressive. I do think that you shouldn't, like, especially as a lesbian, I'm not one who favors people saying, "Oh, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend?" Because everybody assumes their kid is straight.
Sure.
So they start these conversations in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and that adds to sometimes when they're trying to come out in the 8th and 9th grade, that they're like, "But I know you think I'm straight," whatever. So I tend to shy away from. It's not that.
No pressure.
So that's the thing, and I know her parents don't do that to her. And so they're doing this on their own. Like, this is something that is instinctual for themselves. It's a mutual, because I was concerned at first that it wasn't going to be a mutual affair, but it is a mutual affair. She loves him as much as he loves her.
Oh my gosh, they have a little soul connection.
And I literally said to Katie, I said, I wonder if they knew each other in a past life, because it was instantaneous. They learned because Katie learned because Katie's the one that took him to the play date, from her mother, that even somebody at the school mentioned something to her mother before she even knew who my son was. Said, "I think that your daughter has found a soul connection with somebody," and said who it was.
So cute.
And it's maintained, like, this has been consistent for at least a year or more.
Can we share her name?
I don't share his name, so I'm not going to share her name. So I have to give her a name. Let's give her,
what if it's like a classic name, like Esther?
All right, let's give her Esther. Okay. Mr. Carter and Esther. Because I said I might as well call her Mrs. Carter, because that's where we are at this point.
Wow.
So, but here's the thing. I mean, it's even to the point, Jen, and not to make this story too long, but I mean, I'm just trying to explain to you the depth of this affair. So his school at the beginning of, this is preschool. I'm sorry. This is preschool. Because when he was in the building in preschool, they did a thing where they're like, okay, we're going to just videotape these children saying what they like about school. What is their favorite thing about school? And most kids say, oh, it's my teacher. It's Miss Carter. It's Miss Hobby. I love my teacher. I love my friends. Then my son comes up, and this was something they recorded at home and brought to school, and they put together. My son says, Esther is my favorite thing at school. And we thought, oh, how sweet. That'll be cute. Sure enough, Esther says, Mr. Carter is my favorite thing about school. They
Oh
didn't
my
plan that.
gosh.
And we didn't know that until the video was together. And even the heads of the school were like, there's something going on with these two. I mean, that was
That is so
preschool.
cute. So fast forward to first grade. Are they in the same class together?
No, because unfortunately, Esther, switched schools.
Oh no.
And I can't divulge why, but there were reasons why. For instructional needs, she had to switch schools. And
Oh.
and I was told this summer, I didn't have the heart to tell my son because I thought, well, let's just see if he's still, he was wanting to know if she was going to be in his class. When they had the play date, that's when they broke the news to him. And he announced to Katie Joe he was no longer going to our school, that he was
Oh.
dropping out and he
Mm.
was going to go to her school.
My gosh, that is the cutest thing I've ever heard.
And Katie's like, well, now hold on, we can't make that decision. So yeah, so we're we're gonna try to have them together. But like this could be the one that got away if,
My gosh, this could
right?
be an epic lifetime love story if these two grow up and end up together. I mean,
Right.
this
Well,
is
and
movie
they
material right here,
and
Melissa.
I look, no, I'm gonna right now as we're taping, I'm gonna send Miss Hobby a picture of these two. I want you to just see the ease at which they are together. That they took a picture together. And as I send this to Miss Hobby, I'm going to let you know that I said to Katie when she sent it to me, I said, "Well, we're keeping this in case, to your point, if they do get together, that this is one of their, first boyfriend girlfriend pictures together."
Oh my goodness.
But
Okay.
but I just
I
sent
can't
it
wait to get
to
this text.
Jen. Like he looks like he's a teenager. It's not like this cheesy like my son looks like he's so proud
Oh my
to be
gosh.
with her. And she's got this little toothy
So
smile
cute.
and their arms around each other. And so, yes,
They're
if it was
very comfortable.
and my son and I've had the conversation about because he's learning family structure and it's been the what are you to her? And I'm like, well, I would be her mother-in-law if y'all got married. And her mother would be your mother-in-law if you got married. So it makes me wonder if look, I don't know how the world works, but this is a deep connection with these two. But yeah,
This
she had to
is
switch school.
so cute.
So he's struggling a little bit because his girl's not at school anymore.
Well, if they have that strong connection, nothing will keep them apart.
That's
And I
exactly right.
do think that you and Katie Joe have got to plan some play dates and some time that they can be around each other
Right.
and see
Yes.
where that connection goes. It'll be so fascinating to see if through the years they remain close because
Right.
they could be just best friends, right? And that
Mhm.
could be a really cool thing is to have a best girlfriend or a best guy friend all the way through growing up. That's
Right.
amazing.
Yes. And my son is like, I think, and I'm sure everybody, hopefully all kids are this way, but my son is definitely the guy that's going to have a mixed tribe. Like he's not the guy that only wants to hang out with guys. Like he's going to be,
Mhm.
that's why I'm getting him condoms today is because he's the guy that is going to have the tribe of both boys and girls. And
Oh
so, because he
my
loves
goodness.
the ladies. And again, it's like we have not pressured him and said anything to him, but my son looks like he is as straight as they come. So
Okay, I have a question for you about the birds and the bees. Like, when are you going to have that conversation? Because I've got daughters, my kindergartner's not ready for it, but my third grader is asking more questions about her own anatomy. You know,
mhm,
I mean, you and I have talked about this for many years that we use the right words for
correct. Yes.
everything. So, vagina is just like elbow in our
Yes.
household. And
Same here.
so,
Penis and
she's
scrotum are mentioned quite often.
it's just a body part. It's just
Yeah.
like, your cheek or
Your
your
eyes.
ear or whatever.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so it's not a big deal in our house to say vagina. And she's had a lot of questions about, well, where does the, pee pee come from?
Yep.
What's this part for? And I have only answered the questions as far as she has asked them. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, well, if you're lucky, that's where a baby will come out. And
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh, well, where did we come out?" And I'm like, "Well, I had two C-sections. Here's my scar." And I show her my C-section scar. So we have talked about those kind of things, but she hasn't asked me yet, so I haven't gone there yet. But I'm wondering, when do those conversations get started about the real deal?
That's a good for me now, first, again, penis scrotum. I know that my son, is fascinated by the scrotum, and on boys, it changes as they grow older, and so I explained to him that it would change, and, he asked the purpose of it, and I said, "Well, the purpose of that is for you to be able to have children." So I said, "And that's why," and I keep giving him I keep planting and Katie does the same thing. We plant the number 16 in his head because we're trying to get him used to the idea that we would rather him wait till he's at least 16 before he decides to use that.
I see.
Um, and so I'll say, and that's how I'll say it in conversation. I'm like, well, the reason it's not, as big as it's going to be is because you don't need it now. I said, but when you're 16, then you'll be of age where, those things will and I just, pull shit
They
out of my
will
ass as
work
I'm talking.
differently, Mr. Carter.
Yes, and so, so I yes, and so I'm planning to answer your question, though, for me, I remember that more specific questions came in the 6th grade.
6th grade
So
for
and
you.
the reason for that is because
Okay.
I rode the bus and
Mm.
people were talking about it on the bus,
Right. And it's
and
always the kids who have older siblings who hear
correct,
about it first, right? So
yes.
if their friends have older siblings, you might need to. I guess my thing is my daughter is very everybody thinks their kid is smart, but our 3rd grader is really smart. Okay. So,
Right, of course she
right.
no, I'm just kidding, of course, yes,
But
she is. It
she
really is.
will look at it in a scientific way,
Mhm,
right? And then she'll be fascinated by the science of it all. So she's going to have a lot of
yeah.
science questions. I'm already going to be prepared for that. But then what I don't want is for her to go to school and feel like she can teach her friends the science lesson, because that's what she's
There's
like.
only so
If
much but there's
she's
only so much we can control because
I
I
know, but
I
I don't want my kid to be the one to go to school and be like, "Guess what I learned this weekend?" Because she'll be that way. If she learns something about a tiger, watching a show about tigers, then she's telling everybody about that. Like if she learns something about outer space, then she'll want to tell everybody about that. So when she learns how a baby is made scientifically, it's going to fascinate her. It might gross her out a little bit, but it's going to fascinate her from a scientific perspective. And then I think she'll be the one in school talking about it at lunch.
well, I think, to me in my point of view is I'd rather they be the one that are, uh, given the advantage of feeling
Mhm.
confident in knowing that knowledge than being the girl that nobody talks about, and then she finds out
Mhm.
from the kid in the back seat or whatever they do now. I mean, a lot of kids don't drive anymore, but I I think that it's better to know than not to know. I really do, and I think that
TikTok, Melissa. We don't want TikTok to teach our kids about the birds and the
right,
bees.
exactly. Well, and they're gonna I mean, there were things in songs. I mean, to me as a kid, and again, I'm not gonna be you know, I don't wanna be that old parent who's out of touch. Like, I'll be
Mhm.
out of touch on a lot of things, but when it comes to just I mean, as a kid, I was singing Prince songs in much too
Mhm.
young, and I didn't know what I was singing, but then you start, Darling Nikki, that was another thing. So the school bus and then I was riding in the car, and of course, I was older than the 6th grade on this one, obviously, if I'm riding in the car, but I just remember that Darling Nikki and the lyrics to Darling Nikki, and if you don't know that song, look them up.
I don't.
Um, yeah,
Come
look it
on.
up.
You gotta sing it. We've already sung on this episode once. Come on. How
But
does it go?
it's Prince, so I don't know if I could sing some of the things. There's something that a woman does with a magazine in Darling Nikki. And I remember singing that lyric and then stopping and thinking, "Well, how does that work?" And so, I just think that when you're ready to know the
Ah,
answer, you ask the questions, and I
got
think
it.
you're doing right by your daughter. And, I yeah, it's just it's one of those things, like, I don't sex should not be something that you should feel weird about, but I feel the same way about my son. He's much like Lauren, where he is very scientifically minded, and he likes to have
Mhm.
things work, and I have a feeling it's the same thing. That's why it's like, "Well, what does my scrotum do?" "Well, that's gonna help you have children in the future. You don't need it now. You're too young to have children." you're still a child yourself. And so and then I move on. Like, it's just, he's very, like, he doesn't need a lot of drama. He doesn't like, he's not, he's a very logical, he's Spock. My son is Spock. And so he just wants an explanation. And so I think that that's what you do. You know your child well enough to know what they can
Mhm.
handle and what they can't. But also, you're not their only influence after a certain period of time. So we're still in that phase of, our children are in elementary school and all the lessons are great and all the kids are still trying to be good and they want to do what Disney's asking them to do. And, but at some point there's going to be a diversity in the opinions of children, because you'll have the children, like you said, that have older siblings that are bold about it. Now, I had older siblings, much older siblings, but they did not expose me to that. So it's not just older siblings, it's the older siblings that are the braggers, or the ones who, I don't know. There's something, how they handle it is how their younger siblings are going to handle it. My siblings did not expose me to any of that stuff.
I have an
You know.
idea. What if I just send my kids to your house and you have the birds and the bees conversation
Well,
with them, and then just send them back?
Katie refuses to do it. So she's already told me I'm doing it. And I will
You're in
say,
charge.
yes, and I will say, we had a friend, we have a couple where the guy in the relationship, he gave the birds and the bees talk, to your point, to his son and his son's friends, because their parents said the same thing. They're like, you just do it. And he sat them all down, and
He's
he,
like coach, like lining them all up
yes,
in the dugout. Okay, here's how it goes.
but he was more of the progressive, like, cool, chill guy. And so he was like, he had all these guys in, like 3 or 4 boys that he was telling this to. And, he said, it doesn't matter whether you want to have sex with a girl or a guy. This is what you do. And so the fact that he was even progressive enough to include that in the conversation,
Wow,
because
yeah,
he was aware enough that one of these boys may be gay and be afraid to say anything.
sure.
So at least somebody's acknowledging. So I think people really, I mean, that's what I'm going to say to my son. Again, I think my son, I think he's already picked his wife, but
Mr.
I
Carter
think,
and Esther are gonna be together forever,
I'm
and
telling
you'll
you,
only have to worry about one, you know,
I'm telling you,
pick
it's,
one couple about birth control, and then just don't let him. Yeah.
he's, yeah, because he's in 2 different houses, I don't think it's affecting him too poorly. Like, I believe divorced parents and kids who have more than one house is more common now, and I don't think there should be any reason for them to feel lesser than. But I do think that my son, because he's so, he's not, it takes him effort to do a bunch of stuff. He does it well, but he would like to just be in one place. So I see my son as living in the same house for 40 years, working at the same job for 40 years. He probably will marry Esther, who he met in
Likes
preschool,
the
and be married for 50
consistency.
years. I guess, where I
Yeah.
would be bored by that. Obviously, my life has never been that consistent. And so I could definitely see him doing that. But yeah, I think when a child asks is when you answer, and always let the child know that you're available, because, again, so much of I heard sex stories in elementary school and middle school, and I knew I could trust my mother to ask questions.
Yes, that because it's
That's
not
the
just
important
one
thing.
conversation, right? It's gonna be
Correct.
several conversations that keep going.
And I
So
got one
just
more
get
story.
ready and get the cookies and the milk, because they're gonna come to your house a lot for a
Okay.
lot of these conversations. So
Anybody who's listening, if you want to send your kids over to my house, that's fine. But one more, and let me just give my mom props, bless her heart, wherever she is. Do you remember, did you ever read Judy Blume Forever?
I don't think I read that one.
Judy Blume wrote a book called Forever that was about a woman's first, or teenager's first sexual experience. And she went deep, like she went, and so did he. And so she was very detailed about this relationship and all the anxieties and the experiences and what it felt like. And it was really, you know, and I read that in the 7th grade, I think,
Ooh,
because it was Judy Blume,
yeah,
because I had grown up on Judy Blume.
sure.
And I was like, "Mom, oh my gosh, I gotta let me read these passages to you." And so my mom didn't bat an eye when I read her the sexual explicitness of this book, because I was like asking her questions. But in hindsight, I never gave her the props for probably sitting there in a panic, because
Yeah.
her 12-year-old daughter is reading about penises and pubic hair and everything that was in this book. And
Yeah, you didn't see the beads of sweat rolling down the back
no,
of her
because
neck while she's trying to keep her cool.
because my mother was a no frills lady, and she had a great poker face. So anyway, so I found books and conversations with friends, and kids are going to have sex, and they're going to find out about sex just like we did. And so I think making yourself a parent who is not going to scold your child because of sex is the best thing you can do for them. Absolutely.
Totally. All right, you ready to get to our guest, which I'm
Yes.
so excited to
She-
share with you all.
She's not talking about sex, so
There
but she's
is
awesome.
there is some in the movie, okay? But
There's the
yes,
correlation.
we're so excited to introduce you. We are so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Jennifer Hudson. Okay, so I got the chance to sit down with J Hud face to face to talk about Respect, the movie. Now, she plays Aretha Franklin in the film. What you need to know is she was hand selected by Aretha Franklin to portray her in this film before Aretha's passing in 2018. So know that
neat.
going into this. And I even slipped in the Friendzy 5. So check this out. Jennifer Hudson.
Well, I love the film.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And nobody warned me to bring a box of tissues. It was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And I first wanted to ask you about the theme. The music will save your life. It's a beautiful theme woven through the film. And is it true for you as well?
It's very true for me. Like, music is everything to me. I always say a room without music has no personality, and I can't find my way without it through each day. Like, I need music to do that.
And can that be true for everyone? Can music save all of us?
I think it does, even when it's unconsciously so. Like, think about it. No matter where we go, what program it is, music is a part of it in some form.
Absolutely. Now, Aretha did not always have an easy journey, and neither have you. Is there a depth of pain that translates into that depth of performance on screen?
Definitely.
And how do you harness that?
Definitely. I mean, I just allowed it. You know what I mean? And that's a part of, I think, of why she chose me to do this. And it didn't hit me until while filming and being up in the midst of those moments. And it's like, wow, I don't think I would have been able to tell her story with so much depth and honesty without my own life triumphs, you know? And so it's like almost kind of like telling her story through my pain in a way, you know? Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. That seems like that could be kind of dangerous too, to open yourself up.
As I say, it costs. Yes.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Jennifer, tell us about the discipline it took to study and become Aretha on screen.
Whew, it was a process. I started piano first, which was at this point, I don't know, and I still do it. I started maybe 8 months before we started filming even, and then it's a whole team. So I had a piano teacher, I had a dialect coach, an acting coach, a movement coach, all in one. And so on set, it's like 10 people talking to you at one time, you know? But yeah, and the director.
I have to say the greatest compliment is that I forgot I was watching you.
Thank you.
I forgot.
Yay.
You truly transformed into her.
Wow.
And tell me about this film becoming a full circle for you. Didn't you audition with her song on Idol?
Yes, they said, what are you going to sing? What's your name? I said, Jennifer Hudson, what are you going to sing? Share Your Love With Me by Aretha Franklin. And now, almost 20 years later, here I am. I say it's only a story God could write, because you would have thought that I planned it. And it's like, who would have known?
That's right. Tell me about this spiritual connection that you and Aretha had. I know you knew one another, had a friendship.
Yes.
Talk about that friendship. Was there a spiritual connection?
I think so. I think it's like in our faith. You know, we both are deeply rooted in the church, born and raised. I don't know if that's, I think she saw far more than I did, you know, to say like, wow, Jennifer. Because it's a lot of things I didn't pick up on until while filming, outside of singing and acting. And, but that, what I mean by that, like, of our stories resonating to a certain point, to each other's in a lot of ways, like even the church saints. I'm like, this feels like church. I don't know the difference. You can't script that. You can't recreate it, and you really can't teach it. So it's like, roll the camera and we're just going to have church. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's right. Were there any parts of her story that surprised you that you didn't know yet?
I didn't know she had 8 albums before she got her big hits. And she said, I want hits, you know? And just to see the drive that she had and the determination, but she knew what she had in her to be able to do everything that she did, you know, which is timeless. Also, I didn't realize that her and Dr. King was so close and how much she was a part of the civil rights era.
Yeah, same. I was very surprised. So thank you for educating us on that part of her story. Okay, couple quick rapid fire questions just for fun so we can get to know you. These are just for Jennifer. Okay, what is your cozy happy place?
What's my cozy happy place? Oh my God, anywhere near a fireplace with my cats.
There you go. What's your favorite framed thing in your home?
Framed?
Framed.
A picture of my son, of course, or my mom.
Yes.
Yes.
What's one daily routine or habit that you stick to?
Listening to music every day.
And what's your most memorable birthday?
When I sang for Aretha Franklin on my 30th birthday.
There we go. And last one is, what fashion trend did you jump on?
Fashion trend that that's a tough one. I guess owning your own originality. I think that's a fashion trend.
Absolutely.
I hope that counts.
Yes, absolutely it does.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this film.
Thank you.
For giving it so much that you did.
Thank you.
I truly hope that you win all the awards.
Thank you so much.
And eventually have the EGOT, but it'll be an EGOT because it'll be 2 Oscars in there, right?
How will we oh Lord. EGOT. I've never heard that.
Made that up on my own.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for just this role in this film and
wow.
And telling her story in the way that you did.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
So much.
Thank you.
Goot. Brilliant. First of all, Jenn Hobby, you're such a great celebrity interviewer. I am not, so that is why I'm not there. But I just love that conversation. But the other thing I want you to share with people, because I'm still geeked out that we have Jennifer Hudson on the show, the process it took for you to get to her in the era of COVID. Will you explain that?
Sure.
I don't think a lot of you and I are used to doing behind the scenes and celebrity interviews and going through the cattle call and stuff, but most people don't know that part of our job.
Right. Well, I was surprised that the movie studio wanted to do so much press with Jennifer Hudson, given the pandemic that we're still in and all the changes. You know, the Delta variant was just kind of coming up in the news again when this was all scheduled. But, you know, Respect movie was supposed to come out in 2020 and they delayed it because of COVID. But it's now going to be out. It's now out in theaters. Like right now, you can go see it. But I think they wanted it in theaters because the music is so good and it's so good to hear it in an actual theater setting. So the movie studio reached out and said, hey, Jennifer Hudson is coming to Atlanta. She's doing interviews for Respect movie. Would you like to attend? And I wrote back in about 0.2 seconds, absolutely yes. They're like, okay, well, if you want to do the interview, here's how it's going to go. You have to be, you know, subjected to all these different things. And they listed a whole bunch of rules. One of the first rules was like, if you are fully vaccinated, then this. And so I didn't read the rest of the rules because I got to that part and was like, I'm fully vaccinated. Cool. Now what, you know, what comes after that?
Mm-hmm.
So basically I went to the hotel. They did it at the Four Seasons Atlanta. If you ever want a celebrity sighting, go hang out at the Four Seasons in Midtown at the bar.
At the bar. Yes.
That's where all the celebrities go, or at the gym. Right. Because
Mhm.
that's where all the celebs will stay when they
Now,
come
be
through
cool.
town.
Be cool when you do it. But that is the place that celebrities stay in Atlanta.
Yeah. And so, of course, they have it all private and blocked off. And they said, okay, when you arrive to the valet, tell them you're here for Respect movie and your name will be on a list. I was like, okay, this is top secret. Cool. So I get there, I tell the valet, I'm here for the, you know, the media day for Respect Movie. And they're like, yes, and what's your name? And I gave my name. Oh, check you off the list. Okay, great. So I walk in the door and I tell them I'm here for Respect Movie. And they immediately escort me to the elevators and upstairs to a COVID testing site. So even though I was fully vaccinated, I went through a rapid COVID test. So I stood my place in line. They had everybody very socially distanced on different, chairs and benches 6 feet apart in this one area. Went in and they swabbed both noses, like both sides, and then they put it into the little machine. They had a registered nurse there, put it into the machine, and then I just had to wait for 30 minutes until the rapid test results came back. They came back negative. They wristbanded me that my COVID test went back negative, and then they brought me up to the 45th floor, which is really high up above Atlanta.
Mama wouldn't have liked that. Yeah.
And it was a gorgeous backdrop for all of her interviews. And what they did was they had her set up on a platform, and they had a fully COVID tested crew on site. So all audio, video, lighting, sound, everybody who was there, directors, movie people, publicists, hair, makeup, all the things that Jennifer needed were all in one room, and they were with a fully tested COVID-free crew. Because they were not going to put her in a room that gave her any chance of getting sick.
But she's doing this in every city, so.
And then, well, actually, she wasn't. I think she did it in Detroit and Atlanta.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Detroit being
Atlanta.
Aretha Franklin's hometown.
Right.
And then Atlanta. I don't know why she picked Atlanta, but anyway, she was here. So they invite me into the riser, and I sit in a director's chair, opposite of Jennifer. And they were like, you'll have 5 minutes. Here you go. I'm like, I'm glad I prepared for this for a lot of hours. Here's my 5 minutes. Go. But she was more than lovely, just kind, relaxed, very present. Melissa, as we've done a billion celebrity interviews, sometimes you can tell they're checked out.
Yeah.
You can tell that
they don't want to do it
physically in the room, but they're not really there.
Right.
I think this project meant so much to Jennifer Hudson that she was fully present.
Mm-hmm.
She felt like very much in the midst of the conversation, engaged, listening, talking. It was really cool.
I'm so proud of you. You did a great job.
Her a lot.
Yeah.
And I was really excited.
And we were talking because American Idol came out when you and I were together on a morning show.
Yeah.
And we interviewed so many of the American Idol people, but we were trying to, when you did this, you and I were trying to think, did we ever interview her? And I don't think we ever interviewed Jennifer
I don't think we
Hudson.
did because, and I found this in my research. Do you remember she was 7th on her season of American Idol?
I remember
she
that.
got kicked out 7th.
Yeah, she
was
yes.
crazy. And she's gone on to be one of the most successful.
She's the only Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And I bet that this gets her because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Aretha say to her when she handpicked her that you're going to win the Oscar for this or go win the Oscar for this or something to that effect?
Yes, I think so.
She's going to be a 2-time Oscar winner because of this movie. And so that will make her the most successful American Idol, not winner, not even in the top 5.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So other than what Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, and Jennifer Hudson, those are the names that everybody knows from, and there were several others, but none on that level of those 3 women.
Right.
And like you said, she's the only Oscar winner. She won an Oscar for her first movie, which was Dreamgirls.
Correct.
Okay. And she won a Grammy for her very first album. This woman has
her
more
vocal
talent. Yes.
And like
amazing.
And like, it was referenced in your interview with her talking about the thing, her having a rough life, because it was the fact that her brother-in-law and mother, right, were shot and killed. And she still.
And her nephew.
That's right.
Her mother, brother, and nephew.
Brother. Yes. Mother, brother, and nephew were all shot and killed. And she was still able to survive that. Right. And to thrive even better after that. So, when you talked about her favorite frame thing, and it was a picture of her, her mother was in there, but it's like, there's more levity to it, understanding that she lost her mother in a violent crime. And so anyway, I just, yeah, she to me is so special, and her vocal talent is there's a handful of people. Like, you have a lot of good singers, but then you have some really great singers, and Aretha was one of them. And I think it's important that Aretha handpicked her, because I think Aretha understood nobody else could hit the notes like Jennifer
Mhm.
can. You know,
Oh my
so
gosh. When you see the film and you see the concert scenes, I'm not spoiling anything by telling you, you'll
I
get
can't wait.
goosebumps up and down your arm. I mean, just the music alone is incredible. The storyline is fascinating because I learned so much about Aretha's life I did not know, and the struggles that she went through, the pain she went through, the fact that she lost her mother very young, at a very early age in life. Like Jennifer referenced in the interview, that Aretha Franklin's family and Dr. Martin Luther King's family were very good friends. Aretha's father and Dr. King were very close friends. So it
Mhm.
was like it was more a personal loss.
Maybe that's why they did the interview and tried to have the premiere here in Atlanta, because of
Could
those
have been that
connections.
honoring that connection too. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't put that together, but you're absolutely right. I'm sure that's it. And it was a really fascinating look at Aretha's life. I thought Jennifer did a beautiful job turning into her. And there will be times on screen you forget you're watching Jennifer Hudson.
That's
It's
awesome.
cool.
That
She
is
really
awesome.
transforms. So I hope
Yeah.
she wins the Oscar. I hope that you'll go see it in the theaters. And can I just mention that it'll
Sure.
be worth all the expensive snacks? Do you know how much food is
I
at a
haven't been
movie
to
theater?
honey, I haven't been to a movie theater in almost 2 years.
Okay, so I had eaten lunch before I went to go see the screener. I got there and I was like, "You know what? I could use a little caffeine. Let me get a Coke. I'll just get a medium Coke. That's it." And I was checking out and she said, "That'll be 6.35."
$6 for a Coke?
I was like, "For just this?" And the lady kinda smiled and she's like, "Mhm," kinda knowingly looked at me. I was like, "It was a medium-sized Coke that you get at a gas station, and it was $6 plus
Well,
snacks." I was like, "What?" I'm old complaining about snack prices at the movie theater, but
I
seriously,
don't
$6?
I don't know if it's, because 'cause we're old, or because the concession stand is how they make money,
Has to be.
and there haven't been very many people going to the movies for a long time, so
No,
they had to
no.
raise their prices to make up for that loss. So,
Well,
I'm glad you warned me, because I
yeah, bring your cash and stash some snacks in your purse like your mama used to do.
see, no, that's not right. I was about to say the same thing and I held my tongue, but, you know, just
Your
saying.
mom used to do that. My mom
I
did.
used to well, I okay, and I confessed this on our morning show years ago. There was a time I don't do that anymore. I don't do this anymore, okay? So please, you you can fuss at me, but it's not a current thing. But I used to go pay for a ticket and watch one movie and then go to the bathroom and then go to a second movie
Sneak in
on this.
another one
I'd
later.
watch 2 movies for the price of 1.
I don't think that's all that bad. You don't do it anymore though. It's
I
kinda
don't do it anymore, and yes,
it's sneaky.
I would go to the store and sneak in snack. Yes, people need to get paid. People need to get paid. But yes, congratulations on the interview with Jennifer Hudson. I'm so glad she was on the show, and I again will replay this when she wins the Oscar, because you know she's going to.
Yes, and one last thing, J Hud is almost 40. She turns 40 in September.
She
So
qualifies,
she's
because when she
close
wins the Oscar, she'll be
enough
40.
to be
Yes.
on the Friendzy. I worried about that. I was like, "Is Melissa Carter gonna call me out because she's 39?"
I'm
I was
a
like, "But she's 39 and 7/8."
I'm a rule follower, and
I know you are.
normally I would say, "Okay, you know what? Forget it." But because this is going to she'll be 40. She'll be
That's
one
right.
of us when she goes up to give her acceptance speech.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
good.
She's in the tribe. And we want to remind you to share your story, because just like Aretha Franklin is a legend, Jennifer Hudson is a legend. You're a legend in your own life. So make sure that you're sharing your parts of your story with the people in your life.
All right, now we're gonna take a question from You Don't Know My Life game. And the question is, Jen Hobby, kind of on the same theme. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, probably Alanis Morissette.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
It should be Aretha, but I can't sing that well. I would say Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm here, because you can get real angry, and if you're
Yeah.
karaokeing, you've probably had a couple of drinks,
Oh
so
my
that
gosh.
kinda brings out that emotion,
And she's
that
talking about
flow.
scratching someone else's back. Yes, and
Yeah.
mad. It's funny. I don't do karaoke. I've never karaoke'd. So I don't have a go-to karaoke song because I'm the one that will not get up on stage for karaoke. I
We
won't
gotta
do it.
fix that. We gotta
However,
do it. Come on.
I know, as soon as I said that. But I
Oh my
will
God.
say I worked at a bar in my 20s.
Mhm.
And it was a lesbian bar, and we had a night where it was very much like drag queens, add, lip sync songs.
So fun.
It was a night which I thought was a great idea. It was all the bar staff were performing that night, and whatever tips you got, you gave back to the bar. So it was a fundraiser for the bar, but we had so many regulars because I worked the door, and we had so many regulars that, they thought it was really entertaining to see the bartenders and the owner and me and the bar backs and to do this. And so then that's the song I did, Alanis Morissette.
Really?
And I did, and I remember when this woman came up to me and slipped a 20 in my cleavage. I thought, "Well, hell yeah, I'm doing this again." I was like a 23-year-old youngin, fresh to Atlanta, getting all these older ladies to give me them money. And now I would feel
Wow.
I would feel creepy to slip a 20 but if she was good enough, I might do it. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
I think I've got our first feature at our first Friendzy retreat.
it's
Melissa
me doing
Carter's
karaoke.
First
I
ever
can't sing.
karaoke.
I can ad lib,
Girl, yes,
or not
you
ad
can.
lib, but lip sync, but I cannot sing.
Come
So
on.
I apologize in advance.
Nobody can sing in karaoke.
All right. Well, now we're going to switch gears because Jen Hobby, let's take it off of my awful singing and something positive. And Jen Hobby has this week's mirror mantra.
Ring. This week's mirror mantra is, what will you be remembered for? We've talked a lot about Aretha and Jennifer Hudson and how they are legendary, that they've left behind this beautiful legacy. I want to ask you that question. What's your legacy? What's that signature quality about your life that people will remember? And it might take you a second to mull that over as you're driving or going for a walk this week or in the shower or blow drying your hair. I always think when I'm blow drying my hair, what's your signature quality that people will remember? And if you don't like your answer, today is the perfect day to fix that.
I think that's great because I'm thinking as you're talking. And if you don't have one, then you should reconsider that. I didn't think about it until I had kids or a kid,
Mhm.
because there was somebody that I knew would automatically, I hope, cared. But even if you don't have kids, I don't think people realize the influence they have on other people. I really
Mhm.
don't. I think that's great. Nice job.
Is there a friend of yours who would enjoy this episode? Please share this with her on Apple Podcasts. You just look for those 3 dots in the top right corner when you're looking at the homepage of the podcast. Click on them, and then in the drop-down menu, select Share Episode, and you can share it however you want. Text, email, airdrop it. That would be great.
And check out our Friendzy YouTube channel with videos and extended interviews. And when you go to YouTube, we'll explain, with YouTube, the bigger we get on YouTube, then we can have that signature YouTube/the Friendzy. But we're not there yet. We need more, subscribers. We need more views. And so you just have to go to YouTube and search the Friendzy, and that's friend with a ZY at the end. And also, please sign up for our weekly email, and we will send the episode right to your inbox. We include links to things that we discuss and give you deeper insights to these topics. So you go to thefriendzy.com and sign up today.
And we want to thank 3 of our new listeners who have signed up for that email: Meredith Chastain, Christy Gertis. Gertis or Gertis? What do you think?
I think it's Gertis, but
Gertis.
Christy right now screaming either way.
Okay. Christy, thank you for signing up. And also Amy Barclay.
And I say that because they don't know that we're saying, we pay attention to what you
That's
do,
right.
and we appreciate our tribe. So thank you so much, Christy Gertis Jurtis, and everybody else for doing so.
The Friendzy is hosted and produced by Melissa Carter, that beautiful lady right there, and me, Jenn Hobby.
Sound editing by Bo Johnson. Original soundtrack produced by Tammy Hurt for Placement Music. Written and recorded by Mark Daniels.
The Friendzy celebrates friendships over 40. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Until next week, trust your gut.
Share your story.
And stop lying about your age. We'll see you next week. Respect. RESPECT. Find out what it means to be.
RESPECT.
Honey, they've turned it off by this point.
Okay. I think we've tortured them long enough.
Yeah, they're gone by now.
See y'all next week.